welcome to Across the Fence. I'm Joleil Whitney. Hooked in the Mountains 2025 opens to the public May 14th at the Sugarbush Resort in Warren. It's the 21st exhibition by the Green Mountain Rug Hooking Guild. It promises teachers, classes, vendors, and more. And today we'll preview some of the rugs in the show and talk with the artists and organizers. And joining me are Suzanne Dermeyer. She's the Guild's at-large director, and she's been rug hooking since 1985. And next to her is Sharon O'Neill, the president of the Green Mountain Rug Hooking Guild. She was a weaver before taking a rug hooking class in the late 90s and was, yes, instantly hooked. So thank you both for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
We're happy to have you. And why don't you start? We said you were hooked on it in an instant. So what happened?
Yeah. So I'm a weaver. I was a weaver first, and I was looking to take a class. A friend of mine was a rug hooker. She was teaching a class. I was looking for something that would help me incorporate my drawing, history and design, and something that was portable that I could take with me. And it didn't hurt that they served wine and cheese, and some of my other friends were in the class too. So
yeah, absolutely. Sounds like a community event.
Yeah.
And was it the same thing for you, Suzanne?
When I started rug hooking, it was one of my friends who said, "Oh, come with me, you're going to do this." And I had no idea what it was or what I was getting into, but that was in 1985, and I've been with it ever since.
The rest is history.
The rest is history,
And
yes.
Does anything stand out about rug hooking that you really like, or is it the community
well,
event?
you know, there's a couple of things. First of all, there's a huge community, and some of my most enduring friendships have come out of rug hooking. And then secondly, I love the art of making a rug that commemorates either a place or a person or story in my life. So those are really important features of it. It's very mellow.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I've seen rug hooking kits in craft stores. So is that the same thing that would make something like this?
No, that's a great question because we get asked that a lot. It's not the same. They're definitely cousins. It's both hooking, but that's called latch hook, and it's like a prepared kit. This we actually take wool fabric, and sometimes it's upcycled wool or new purchase wool, or you'll see in a bit other fabrics, and we rip them into strips and hook them on a linen backing. And the loops are more like this, like ribbon candy, as opposed to tufted, or something. I think it's called tufted. Yeah.
All right. We actually you brought in some stuff to show us a little bit what you mean beyond the conventional. Here, let me grab it. All right. And we've got this contraption here. Why don't you walk me through kind of the tools you're using and what the process looks like?
Okay, so there are lots of different kinds of frames, but one of the things you want to do is you have to have some kind of backing, and this is called linen natural.
Okay.
And there are other materials, cotton, etc. But what has to happen is it has to have a consistent weave. So you have holes, like a grid pattern. And then you need something to make it tight. Sharon started learning on a hoop.
Got one of those here.
Yeah, this is a primitive Puritan frame. There are lots of other kinds of frames you can use, and you can actually go on YouTube and find easy directions to make your own.
Great.
Yeah, so with the hoop, you would put the fabric over like this, put this down, and then this is tight like a drum. That's what gives you.
Yeah,
create some tension.
Yes.
Some people can hook with it wrapped around their lap, but I'll tell you, I've never done that.
This is a lot easier. Okay.
So you have your material like this, and you think of whatever you want for your design, and you just actually draw right on the back.
Wow.
And you can do a square, you
Sure.
can do all
Here, and
kinds of things.
I'll show the camera. We got a square on here now.
And then you have a hook, and it's really
that's quite a
crochet
small hook.
And there's many different sizes. Like if you were going to do really large loops that out of ripped material, you might need a bigger one of these. Pair of scissors, almost anything will do.
Some cutting contraptions.
Some sort of cutting contraptions. And we have a machine that we use, and if you want to think fresh pasta and you run it it makes these really wonderful strips. However, you don't have to do it. You don't have to spend that much money. You could use a rotary cutter.
Sure.
There are people who hand cut theirs, and then there are people who just
Rip
it.
Strip. Yeah.
And so obviously, if you were going to hook this into this hook is just way too little.
Okay.
So those are the basics.
Sure. All right. And why don't you give us a quick demonstration about how it's done? We've got all the materials here. What would it look like to do?
Okay. So first of all, you take your wool strip in your non-dominant hand.
Okay.
And it goes underneath here. And what you're going to do is you're going to fish your hook down, and you're going to try to bring up a loop.
Okay.
And so for me, I just do a little hand thing here. Just put it in. Whoops, easier said than done.
All right.
The first time you do it, it's really hard. And the first thing you do is you leave your ends up, and you'll trim them later, but that's part of rug hooking itself. And then you just keep.
And you leave a little bit of the loop.
Yeah, a little, oh my goodness. It would be easier if I was doing this at home, wouldn't it? Because I've been doing this for 40 years.
All
there
right.
you go.
Do you mind if I give it a try?
Oh, absolutely.
Here,
Absolutely.
I'll turn it around too, so you guys get the other angle. I've been the only one getting a great. All right, let's see. Oh, you're right. The hooking is easier said than done.
And usually you do it closer to you.
Okay.
And,
All right, and you leave this little loop here, and that's what the like how you get the beautiful colors and textures you guys get. Is that right?
Right.
Yes.
Wow, would you look at that?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm hooked too.
yeah, maybe you are. Maybe you are. And when you get done, and let's say this is as far as you want to go, you just,
Okay.
whoops, you just trim this off here, and you trim this one off, and then all of these rugs have that in it.
Wow,
someplace.
wow,
And
that's
they stay.
beautiful. That's incredible. All right, and we've got some, I mean, as beautiful as this is, we've got some finished projects here that you guys brought in. So let's take a look at some of these. Let's start with this one. We've got a couple beautiful animal ones. This is the first one.
Yeah.
Wow.
This one is done by Davy DeGraff, who's a local Vermont artist.
Wow. And
I
that's,
know, like, look at all the detail you can get.
I know a lot of people who would want to have their pup commissioned on one of
Yes.
these.
Yes.
Wow, that's gorgeous. And we have a slightly bigger one over here.
Okay.
All right, here, I'll hold the other end for you.
So this rug was hooked by Mary Jo Childs from Williston, Vermont, and it was one of our viewer choice rugs
Wow.
2 years ago in our last show. And it's just a wonderful Vermont scene with sheep.
Wow, and even on camera, you really have to go in, look at that before you
Yeah.
can even see the hooks. This is beautiful. So how long would something like this take? Or does it depend on the hooker at work?
It depends on the materials that you're using, the size. I don't know how long this Mary Jo took, but like a smaller piece could take like 10 hours. The piece I'm going to show you with the different fabric, that took me over 100 hours because I used very slippery fabrics, and anywhere in between where we don't count the time because
Time well spent.
it will
yeah.
just, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
and then we have, that was a beautiful look at some sheep, but you have some more geometric
Yep, this is
work
a
here, too.
geometric. And this is also an example of how sometimes in traditional patterns or traditional primitive patterns, sometimes our artists will use a quilting pattern, and this is called Flying Geese. Who's the artist of this one?
That would be mine.
Oh, that's yours.
wow.
It's an old one.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Nice, Suzanne.
But some beautiful like overlap of fabric arts.
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you said that there were a bunch of different kinds of fabric in here, is that right?
The greens are all multiple greens, and the beige grays are multiple pieces, and it's a great way to use up your leftover pieces.
Sure, I imagine with a project you always have a couple spare strands, so it's a nice way
Oh.
to use up a couple. All right, and we have another beautiful piece here.
So
And this
I don't-
one looks like a
maybe
conventional
do you
rug.
want to hold it this way?
Sure, that's
perhaps?
perfect.
So this was hooked by Stephanie Krause Allen, and Stephanie's mother, Ann Ashworth, was actually the founder of our guild, and this is a pattern that Stephanie designed herself based on elements of old rugs that she had seen. And she did everything, including the dyeing of the wool, to
Wow.
make these wonderful colors. And this was another viewer's choice from last year.
Yeah, that's
And it's
beautiful.
actually Stephanie Allen Krause.
Oh, yeah, I had it
And then
backwards.
Stephanie's daughter is also a rug hooker. So there's
Oh,
3
great.
generations
Yeah.
of amazing artists
Absolutely,
in their
it sounds
family.
like a lot of community and a lot of family
Yes,
involved here.
absolutely.
And for something this big, how much fabric are we using?
Again,
It
like
kinda
you
depends.
kind of like take a piece, like measure out, and then you kind of squish it like this, and you'll say, this much fabric will cover this area.
All right, so it's kind of a rough estimate.
Yeah,
But.
yeah.
All right, we're running out of time, but I got a couple more I want to get to. This is a beautiful one, and you said this is a good example of a variety of
Right.
fabric.
This is mine. I'm the artist and designer, and this is 100% made of party clothes, party dresses,
Wow.
a sari, couple prom dresses. And yeah, because I thought, peacocks are so showy, let's make it out of showy fabrics.
Absolutely, and you have another one of your own works as well.
Yeah, this is a small piece, and I talked about I like things that commemorate places. It's a walk behind my house in the winter. So.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
And you have
thank you.
another kind of example of a landscape here. I'll hold it up for you.
Oh, good, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about this
This is
one.
another one that Davy DeGraff did, and it's actually a local scene. And in this one, she's used yarns and other materials in addition to the wool fabric.
Sure, so it's not a hard and fast rule that you have to use wool strips.
Absolutely not at all anymore.
All right, that's great. And you've got a couple more things we want to see here. This is a series, and as you can see, you've got a whole bunch, but we'll just preview a couple. I think you said there were 12, is that
There's
right?
12 altogether, and this is a artist from Underhill, Sarah Berghoff, and these are based on real birds, but also a little bit of fantasy.
creative,
yeah.
sure, yeah.
And so there's 12 here, and this is just an example of 3
Yeah,
of them.
so you'll have to go to see the other
Yes.
9.
Yeah.
All right, and you guys are obviously like part of the guild, so what's involved to join, and what do you guys do?
So to join, you can join online. You can go to gmrhg.org.
Okay,
and
and
you can,
yeah, it's up on the screen
great,
as well.
Great. And there's a membership fee of $35, and you can join through there. And then we have an amazing newsletter that you'll get that will tell you about all the different events that we hold, and you
Yeah,
can get
that's
connected
great.
with other people.
Sure, and you talked about like kind of the community involved, so touch on that with what you guys do in the guild.
Well, our guild sponsors lots of activities, and one very popular one is an activity called a hook-in, where people come together throughout the state of Vermont. We have people who come down from Canada, up from Massachusetts, from New Hampshire, and other places, and we get together. And also, people hook locally on a regular basis with small groups in their community.
Sure. All right, and that's actually all we have time for. Thank you both for coming in. This was incredible. I want to remind our viewers that the 21st Hooked in the Mountains show, presented by the Green Mountain Rug Hooking Guild, happens May 14th through 18th at the Sugarbush Resort in Warren. All the information is on their website. And that's our final run for Fence today. My thanks to the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX, who I'm sure would all make great hookers. I'm Joleil Whitney. This is Across the Fence. Have a good one.